Nothing in your life just happened. Your life is not over. You're not too old. It's not too late. God knows about your limitations. Whatever God has predetermined to happen will come to pass. And no devil in hell has ever been able to abort the purpose of God, not once. Your mistakes were in his will. Your trouble was in his will. I don't care what you went through. David said, if I make my bed in hell, God is still there. He was with you in the middle of your trouble. He was with you in the middle of your pain. You ought to shout, I don't care where you are, because nothing just happens. The reason we worship him as God is because he is the CEO. He runs the universe. Think about the most damnable thing that ever happened and shout nothing. Think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your life and shout nothing. Think about people who loved you and walked out and left you and shout nothing. Think about the struggle going on your job right now and shout nothing. There's a reason why it happened at this age. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. He's in complete control, and he knows where you are, and he knows how old you are, and he knows what happened to you, and he knows who walked out and left you, and he knows about your bills, and he knows about what you didn't get, and he knows about the health of your child. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. And hear me when I tell you this. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. I don't want you to try to talk another person into staying with you, loving you, coming to see you, staying attached to you. I mean, hang up the phone. When people can walk away from you, let them walk. People leave you because they're not joined to you. And if they're not joined to you, you get super glue and you can't make them stay. Let them go.
Don't worry about the people that God has removed from your life. He saw things you didn't see. He heard conversations you couldn't hear. And he made moves you wouldn't make.
We all have things happen to us in life that we don't understand. We worked hard, but we didn't get the promotion. Or people that have turned on us. It's easy to live frustrated and fight against everything we don't like. We think that it's holding us back. But Psalm 119 says, everything serves his plan. The betrayals are serving his plan. The person that walked away is serving his plan. If that wouldn't have happened, you couldn't reach your destiny. What you couldn't see was God had something better. You may not like it. It doesn't seem fair, but it's serving his plan. When you understand that everything serves his plan, then you won't live frustrated when something unfair happens. The person that walked away wasn't a coincidence. It was God moving them away. We need to see difficulties in a new light. You can't reach your destiny without opposition, without betrayals. Why are you upset over something that's designed to move you forward? God wouldn't have allowed it if he didn't have a purpose. Nothing can happen to you without his permission. How do you know that closed door, that bad break, that disappointment is not setting you up for something that you've never seen? That coworker that always gets on your nerves. You know why they haven't moved? They're serving you. God is using them like sandpaper to rub the rough edges off of you. The scripture says our steps are being ordered by the Lord. Don't be upset over that person that's trying to make you look bad. You need them to reach your destiny. God doesn't take us in a straight line. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're going backwards. You have to trust him when you don't understand. That's why Paul said, all things work together for good to those that love the Lord. All things may not be good. The loss isn't good, but the promise is it's going to work out for your good. Now the test, while it's not good, will you stay in faith? Will you believe that God is still on the throne? That what He started in your life, He's going to finish? Many of the challenges that you're facing now, they don't have anything to do with now. It's positioning you for something in your future. You will see how God will begin to connect the dots. There was a man out in his boat. Big storm came up and his boat capsized. But he ended up stranded on a deserted island all by himself. He kept praying and praying for God to send somebody, but it seemed like the heavens were silent. One day, while he was out gathering food, when he came back, the small thatched roof hut that he had built somehow caught on fire. It was like pouring salt on the wound. About an hour later, he saw a boat way off in the distance. It kept getting closer and closer. Sure enough, it was the Coast Guard coming to rescue him. He said, "How in the world did you find me?" The captain said, "We saw the smoke coming from the fire that you built." Sometimes what we think is a disappointment is really God positioning us for a new level. If your hut's on fire today, instead of being bitter, have a new perspective. It's serving His plan. It may not make sense now. The betrayal, the closed doors can be discouraging. But you have to keep reminding yourself it's not working against you, it's working for you. Sometimes God is not removing the obstacle because He's using the obstacle to get us prepared. We don't grow in the good times. We prefer that much better, but we wouldn't reach our potential. We grow when it's difficult. That's why you can't pray away every challenge. If the situation is not changing, then God is using the situation to change you. If God made everything easy for us, we wouldn't be ready for where we're going. God has amazing things in your future. But to get there, you're going to have to defeat some big giants, outlast some strong opposition. You have to stand strong and show the opposition that you're more determined than they are. Every day you stay in faith, you thank God when nothing's happening, your spiritual muscles are growing. You're getting stronger, more determined, developing a greater trust in God. Keep the right attitude. Keep doing the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. Don't be discouraged because nothing's happening on the outside. Something's happening on the inside. You're getting stronger. God didn't lessen what came against you. He simply added to your strength. Now you can handle what you couldn't handle in the past. You may have been dealing with situations for a long time that are not improving. I believe right now grace is coming on you in a new way. God is breathing strength into you, fresh passion, a second wind so you can outlast what's trying to stop you. Don't go around, why did the door close? Why did these people betray me? No, turn it around. Father, thank you that your grace is sufficient. I may not understand it, but I know it's serving your plan. And I believe when it's all said and done, I'm not only going to come out, I'm going to come out better. God is saying to you today, everything that's come against you is going to turn out for your good. Perhaps your hut is on fire today. What you can't see is the Most High God is on the way. Something that looked permanent is about to suddenly turn around. I'm asking you to trust Him when you don't understand. Stay in peace. Everything serves His plan.
I say that because sometimes you're whining about things that really don't matter. And if you were smart, you would learn how to count your blessings and to thank God for what He's done in your life.
The science gives us a reason to think differently about ourselves. And it's based on honest, truthful, factual information. If it's good science. Mm-hmm. And from that, we begin to think of ourselves differently, and we are changed in the presence of new understandings. It all comes down to our story. What we're talking about is our story. It doesn't have to be technical, but our story, our lives literally are based upon our story. We solve our problems. We choose our relationships. We heal our bodies. We choose our politics. We build our society, all based upon the way we've been taught to think about ourselves. And what's happening right now, and I think we all know this, is our story is changing. Mm-hmm. And there is a battle, Rob. There's a battle for our story. There's a battle for our thoughts, for our beliefs. There's a battle for our very humanness that is unfolding, and it's happening right in front of us. Many people don't recognize it because it is compartmentalized, but it is happening right now on the mainstream of the world stage. So I go back to those experiences as a scientist today through the eyes of what I now know. And I know that the most fundamental act, the most radical act of empowerment that any of us can embrace is to honor the deep truth of our story. Not the story necessarily that we've been coerced into accepting or believing. Not the story maybe that came from our family or our religion or our education, academia or our political affiliations, but the true story of our relationship with ourselves, with the world around us, with one another, with the past, with the future, with the cosmos, and if we believe in a higher power. And in the presence of that story, we are changed, and that gives new significance to what's unfolding in our lives. It's a celebration that moves us from the fear into the freedom of self-mastery. And the science is now telling us literally the self-regulation of our own biology. What could be more powerful than to be able to self-regulate, up-regulate and down-regulate genes to enhance your immune response on demand, to awaken longevity enzymes on demand, to create resilience to a changing world on demand, deep states of intuition, and so much more? What could be more powerful than to awaken to that possibility now in the presence of a world that's changing faster than we can document it in our textbooks? So it's a long answer to a short question, but the science for me, I recognized at an early age that it was a language that would help me personally to understand my relationship to the world that I was drawn to, and that comforted me in times of extremes. And I think that's true for all of us today.
We're going to see some pretty crazy stuff over the next few months. We are certainly living in the craziest of times, and it's a really important time, folks. It's actually a really empowering time if you look at it through the right type of eyes. You know, the world that we're heading into, or they're trying to head us into, is going to be a dystopia of the next level. We're literally standing right at the gates of hell with what they want to unfold and what they want to roll out with this whole surveillance and tracking grid that they're putting in place. It's really getting to the point now that the only hope we have is non-compliance. This is a huge opportunity for freedom, because the more they do this, the more people are waking up. And it's going to get to a point that, people are going to see the writing on the wall. And we have an opportunity to create a really good world here. We have an opportunity to free the entire human race here, if people can get some focus. And it's time for people to put down all this stuff with everybody else. Doesn't matter what anybody did at this point, folks. Doesn't matter whether they've said the wrong thing here and they've done the wrong thing there. It doesn't matter. And they have the focus on freedom, then they're our friend. And we need to put all of this other petty stuff aside. We really do. It doesn't matter what people believe. Doesn't matter who they believe they are. Doesn't matter what they believe the earth is. Doesn't matter about any of it right now. What matters is freedom. And we need to get some focus on that. We need to unite as one human family, not one human nation, not one new world order or anything like that, but simply one human family with respect for each other's beliefs It's okay for you to think completely different to me about whatever you want to think about. I don't care. All I care about is the fact that you're safe and you're happy and that you are free to explore yourself and to reach the fullest of your potential, because that's really what life is about. In Lakesh, you are my brother, you are my sister. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter what you believe. The one thing they're depending on is that we keep fighting with each other. We keep arguing over our belief systems. When we hear good information from someone, we go, well, he said something else reasonably earlier on, and so, we need to distrust him. People who do that, just get the information. If it's good information, get that information and run with that information. Doesn't matter what he did. Doesn't matter what they said. What matters is that we deal with the clear and present danger that we face. So that's what people have to do. Now's the time, folks. Now's the time for freedom. Now's the time for a unity of spirit. Sure, absolute diversity of consciousness, because we are all different. We are all completely unique. Every single person. No one will ever see the world the way you do. No one will ever be able to look at reality through your eyes. But that doesn't matter. You're still my brother, and I still want unity with you. I still want a unity of focus, a focus towards freedom. Because once we overcome this hump, there could be a really, really beautiful world waiting for us on the other side. But that's going to depend on what we do now. It's going to depend on how prepared we are to put our egos down, to disregard whatever we believe to be true at the moment, because, ultimately we don't know with a lot of this stuff. We're not free enough to know. That's the problem with the whole truth movement, which I think is a loaded term as well, because the truth is no one really knows what the truth is. They might know some certain little truths, but the ultimate truth, what is that? And the problem is that we don't have the freedom to find out, because we're always arguing with each other over what we think the truth is. It's time we got over that, put our egos down, establish freedom, and then the truth will become apparent for all to see.
Yeah, let's get it right. We're all created by God. We're created by the thoughts of God. When we think, we create an energy field. When we think thoughts of love, forgiveness, and peace, and all the things we want to bring to the world, we create a certain kind of very positive energy. When we think thoughts of hate, of all these other emotions of anger or fear, we create another kind of energy, a very destructive one, which, if it's in big enough quantities, destroys the very life force of creation, which comes from the being some call God. The name I'm given is the Godhead. Now, if we can create by thought, what can the Godhead do? This master spirit at the center of all creation. He can create almost anything he wishes by thought, and he creates us by thought. Yes, I'm saying that. What I'm saying is, but some people come to earth, Jesus was one, there were many more before him, who are actually part of the soul of the Godhead. It's God incarnate on earth. That's what Jesus was. That's what these other people were before. To try to bring the truth to a planet that has lost that truth for 12,000 years, and as a result of which we have taken this wondrous planet to the brink of not existence. The message that comes across all the time is the Godhead loves all of us as if there was only one of us. No one is special. But there are certain people who come to Earth at certain times, and to other planets too, at times of great crisis, to try to help to sort things out. And they are just the Godhead in a physical body. This great transformation of Earth that's already is already underway, is being guided not by yours truly alone, but by the whole of creation. Because if this planet is destroyed, the whole of creation is thrown into chaos, because, planets and stars are not there because the Godhead fancies it. Wouldn't it be pretty? Everything is there. It has a purpose. It has a meaning. It has a reason for existing. And if one of the planets or whatever ceases to exist because of the way we treat it, then the whole of creation is threatened. And my goodness me, I'll tell you this, it is threatened very much at this time. It is a matter of years if we continue to turn out this energy of hate, of anger and fear and all these other emotions that we have made into an art form on earth.
The first way to get focus is to find purpose. The way to find purpose is you must identify what it is that you have to be purposeful in. Right when you are struggling with what to do, who you are, what's your next move, you are in an identity crisis. You are struggling with just who you are. See, you have not discovered who you are. You have to discover who you are in order to move you forward. If no one ever gave you the directions, let me ask you something. When you get up and you get up in the morning, you go get in the car or you walk out your door, you have a destination in mind. If you go outside with no destination, what do? You wander around. Once you don't have a destination, you are going to wander around. You cannot get in your car without a destination. Where do you drive? So you are in an identity crisis, the same thing I was in. So you have to find your purpose. So let me help you with this. If you are in this situation, the solution is the first thing. You have to do the thing that God gave you. You just have to identify your gift. That's the first thing. Until you do that, you can forget it. You'll never find your purpose. You'll never know your mission. You'll never know the reason. So I think we're in an identity crisis. I think you have to identify who you are and what your real gift is and pursue the gift.
We, to a great extent, behave, think, react because of some previous experience that we've had. One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. The real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. Somebody said that adversity introduces a man to himself or a woman. How you handle it suggests this is one of the first things that you want to do when you're facing a challenge. You want to get unstuck. Evaluate where you are. Look at it. Assess yourself. Assess yourself and assess the situation. What brought you there? What role did you play? Earl Nightingale had a saying I like. He said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. What has brought you to this point? What did you learn from it? Are you learning anything, or are you doing it over and over and over again? Somebody said that insanity is doing the same thing in the same way, expecting a different outcome. Are you going through it, or are you growing through it? Are you bigger and better because of it? Because it's not going to leave you until you grow through it. A friend of mine went through a divorce. My best friend. He had a wife that did not love him as much as he loved her. It was his first real true love. He was a very religious man. Did not believe in divorce. He made a mistake. And he paid for his mistake with a lot of pain, a lot of tears. And there came to a point where he knew he should have gotten a divorce. But he was stuck. He was stuck in something called revenge. He said, she's made me so miserable, I'm going to pay her back. He was stuck. And he stayed in there longer than he should have because it began to attack him. It began to affect him psychologically. And as a result of that, when he eventually did get a divorce, he took that same attitude to other relationships, looking for something to go wrong. He was burned so badly, he did not want to risk pain again. He was going in relationships trying to avoid pain. When it became too close, he would do something to make sure the relationship did not work. He would always try and find something wrong with the person because there are no perfect people. So if you look for it, you can find it. He was stuck in revenge. Another friend of mine, working on a job, loved the company very much, expected to retire there. And one day they called him in the office asked him for his badge and identification, called the security man up, walked into his desk, told him he was fired and he had to leave then. He was devastated. And if you came anywhere near him, he will tell you his story, as we all have stories. Even when he got a job, he went on the job telling anybody who would listen how they fired him unjustly. And he always ended with, "It wasn't fair." Life isn't fair. Life just is. It's not fair that birds eat worms, and they do. But he's stuck in the fact that it's not fair. I don't deserve that. They were wrong. Another friend of mine, we called him Chicken Man. He had a feather in his hat. He had a toy chicken on top of his car that he would drive around the area in downtown, blinking his lights and occasionally blowing his horn. When he got out of his car, he would walk downtown with a baby carriage with 2 little baby dolls in there and a picture of a woman. And when you say something to him or came near him, you would hear him making the sounds of a chicken. All of us used to laugh at Chicken Man. We didn't know Chicken Man's story. Chicken Man woke up one morning around 3 a.m. and his house was on fire. He panicked and he got out of the window and left quickly, only to get outside to hear his children and his wife screaming for help. He ran back to the door to go in to save them, and the flames were too hot, too awesome. He tried to get in, he couldn't get in. He was desperate, frantic. Pretty soon the cries stopped. They perished in the fire. His brother-in-law came, found out that his sister had died and his nieces in the fire, grabbed Chicken Man and started beating him. "You chicken, why did you save my sister? You're a chicken, you're a chicken." When the people pulled him off Chicken Man, they picked him up and said, "Are you all right?" And Chicken Man looked at him and he started making the sounds of a chicken. He never ever overcame that tragedy. He was stuck. From that experience, none of us knew why Chicken Man went around with this picture and these little dolls. I was reading a book on forgiveness, and they had a line in there that says, "Forgive and grow." Well, you see, your mind is, you know, when you go into a service station to get gas, you don't go in there and just start pumping. When you push the lever up, it clears the previous bill. By the same token, if you want to begin to move, you've got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down. You're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go and move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it? Huh? How long are you going to tell everybody at the bus stop and anybody who would stand and listen to you? How long are you going to repeat the same thing? Don't go around telling people what your story is. Everybody has a story. 80% don't care and 20% glad it's you. All of us got stories to tell. Chicken Man allowed his tragedy to destroy his life. All of us have experienced some tragedy, and if we haven't, we will. And you can either let it destroy your life or you can build upon it. You can permit it to let it hold you down, or you can decide, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm bigger than this. Make a declaration to yourself. Declare all out war that you're going to get out of this rut. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how much you work on yourself. There are some times when things aren't going to go right. They just are not going to go right. There are times when anything that can happen will happen. Murphy's Law will be knocking at your door. Why? I don't know why. That's called life. And you have to deal with it. I suggest to you that if you are facing a challenge, don't stop. Stay busy. Work your plan. Continue to do those things that you know that work for you after you have evaluated yourself in the situation. Continue to move. Stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. Repeat out to me. Help somebody. And help yourself. Because what you give is what you get. Find somebody that you can help so you can forget about you for a moment. See, sometimes the best thing to do is to be. Sometimes you have to just back up and go within yourself. A bow and arrow, you can't take a bow and just push it out an arrow. You just can't push the arrow out. You have to pull it back and then release it. Sometimes you have to back up and go within and pray and meditate and recharge your batteries. Go away, clear your head, and then come back and look at it from a different vantage point. Don't operate while you're under the spell or the effect of what's going on. Next thing is that you've got to activate the thinker in you. Don't allow your emotions to control you. We are emotional, but you want to begin to discipline your emotion. If you don't discipline and contain your emotions, they will use you. Your mind goes on automatic, just like a garden. You know, weeds don't have to have any encouragement to grow. You don't have to water them. They don't have to get sunshine. They don't have to have fertile ground. They will grow through the cracks of a sidewalk. But if you want to grow orchids or roses or any kind of exotic flowers, there are special processes and procedures you must go through. Well, by the same token, you don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to hate somebody, to want revenge, to want to get back at somebody, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself. But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back, and I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it. And you're going to go all out to have it. It's not going to be easy. When you want to change, it's not easy. If it were in fact easy, everybody would do it. But if you're serious, you'll go all out. So yes, I'm going to turn this situation around. I'm not going to sit back and moan and cry over what happened and what went wrong and who did what. I'm going to do something about this situation. The next thing that is important is that expect things to get better for you, because they are. See, life is cyclic. You're not, whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Not to stay, just to pass. It's just going through. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass. See, a lot of us, because of our limited vision of ourselves, a lot of us who begin to focus on problems and enable them to overwhelm us, we begin to think that we have no options. We begin to believe that there's no way out. Repeat after me, there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You've got to make those kind of declarations to yourself. I'm unstoppable. This will not get me down. What are some of those things that you can do during this period of time? Go for walks. Do some things for you. Just go for a stroll so you can engage in some reflective thinking on life, on yourself, looking and enjoying the universe, smelling the roses along the way. Listen to upbeat music, music that inspires you. I have oldie but goodies. I have strategies that I engage in to recharge my batteries. A very good friend of mine died the other day. I had a program for myself. I have books that I read that inspire me, tapes that I listen to that fire me up. Because you're going to have sometimes low moments when you won't want to get out of bed. You just want to stay there. The other thing is, take full responsibility for your life. Accept where you are and the responsibility that you're going to take yourself where you want to go. Someone said we have two primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them. See, a lot of people want to exempt themselves from taking responsibility. All they want to do is talk about the problem. Every time you see them, they'll tell you their story over and over and over and over again. No, no. You want to take responsibility for your life. I got me here, I can get me out of this. And I'm getting out. I'm not going to be a volunteer victim. George Bernard Shaw said there are two kinds of people in life. You know, he said those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that don't know what happened. And he said the people that get along in this life look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. They create them. So part of beginning to get unstuck, you've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life, recreating you, and you have the power to do that. Next thing is separate what you do from who you are. That's what the guilt trap is about. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. There are a lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. So as you're in the process of reinventing your life, write a description of the kind of person that you want to be. What are the things that you must overcome? What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you? What are your assets? What are your strong points? Look at and evaluating yourself to make that determination. Other thing is that in order to get out of a rut, we need some coaching. Find some trusted critics. People that you know care about you and love you. So there's some things that keeps us from growing and getting out of ruts. Number one, we identify with feedback. We take it personal when someone wants to give us some feedback on where we are falling short and tell us about our blind spots. We want to have everything being positive about us. We're not perfect. It hurts. I have a friend who's a trusted critic. I don't like him, but I love him. He doesn't tell me the things I want to hear. He tells me what I need to hear so I can grow. It hurts. It hurts when he put me on the hot seat. I can't stand it. But that's the only way that I can grow. And I'm glad that he loves me enough to risk our friendship to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. The other thing is about life, when things happen to you, when you permit things to use you, you can't change the past, but you can interpret. You can reinterpret how you see it. So when you begin to look at your past, give an interpretation that empowers you. That's where I used to be. That's not where I am now. I'm growing. Now I want you to think about, in your mind right now, think about some particular event or act in your life that you feel very bad about, that you really regret that that took place. If you had to do over again, you would do it differently. With that there, I want you to see yourself in your mind's eye and say to yourself, I love myself unconditionally, and I forgive myself. If I knew better, I would have done better. Let me tell you something about the mind, how it uses you. I'll tell you something super stupid that I used to do. Do you know for years I hated my mother and my father, whoever they were, because they gave me away as I thought at that point in time? And guess what? I didn't have any faces for the hatred because I never saw either one of them. And I said, I hate them for that. And then once I forgave them and said, it's okay, had they not given me away, I would have never been blessed to have the mother that I have, who to me is the greatest mother in the world. So the universe unfolds as it should. But when I went through this process, saying forgive them, I remember in my mind as I was trying to picture these people, I had two individuals in my mind standing there with no faces because I didn't know how they look. But I released that. I let that luggage go. Think about somebody that you've hurt, somebody that you've disappointed, either deliberately or inadvertently. Look at them in your mind's eye and say, I forgive you. Whew, boy, that's a heavy load to let off. If you want to be forgiven, you better forgive somebody. Let it go so you can grow. It's not easy, but through practice and practice and practice, practice makes what? Absolutely not. Dismantle that belief system. Practice makes improvement. You can always better your best. You can always go beyond anything that you have ever done. You'll never hit a state of perfection. You're always bigger than what you do. Read inspirational books, of course. Listen to tapes that begin to inspire you. And stay around people who will empower you. People that will help you feel good about who you are as you're in the process of transforming your life.
Remember, be a student, not a follower. And here's what you must always do. Design your own personal life. Remember, be no one's disciple. Chart your own course. Make what you do the product of your own conclusion. Here's another approach. Step down to something easier. If you're getting hassled by the management of time, what you're doing, you might want to, change course. What I'm saying here is be your own person. You don't have to be a model of someone else. You don't have to do it like anybody else, right? Do it like yourself. Buy what you want to buy. Listen to what you want to listen to. Make changes if you want to make changes, and don't make changes, right? It's your life, I'm telling you. And don't let anybody persuade you any different. Success is not a stereotype. Success is not a Ferrari. Success is not an automobile. It's not a house. It's not a place. It's not money in the bank. It's not $1 million. That's not success. Success is the continual unfolding of the design of your own life and pulling it off. That's what success is. The continual unfolding of the design of your own personal life and pulling it off in whatever degree you wish. That is success. Successful in doing whatever you want to do that makes sense to you, for you, your family, your responsibilities. Take on responsibilities or refuse responsibilities. That's strictly all up to you. We've been given the power of choice. Every life form except human beings operates by instinct in the genetic code. It has no multiple choice. Only humans have multiple choice. All life form is driven by instinct in the genetic code except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because here it is. We've been given the dignity of choice. We're not like a robot. We're not stuck like a tree, using up all the nourishment, nothing left, now you died because you can't change location. Not true. Humans can go north, south, east, west. Humans can change, do anything they want to do. We've been given the dignity. But here's what's interesting about all life form except humans. Every life form except humans strives to the max of its potential. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, that is impossible. A tree grows as high as it can, drives down every root it can, produces every leaf it can, extends itself as far as it possibly can. Every life form extends to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because we're not robots. We've been given the dignity of choice. And here's a couple of alternatives on the dignity of choice. To be part of or all of. You have the potential to be. And you got the choice. Do a little to make yourself comfortable and forget the rest, or do it all. And there's nobody here to dictate you got to do it all. That's nonsense.
Let me tell you something before you go. Whenever people come see me live, I try to say something meaningful to people. And I'm in the laugh business. That's my gift. That's what God gave me at birth. Your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. I want to tell you something that can help enrich your life. It's a sure sign from God that he ain't through with you, because he wakes you up in the morning. When he's done, you won't wake up no more. But as long as you're waking up, that means he has something for you that he hasn't been able to give to you for whatever the reason. I'm going to help you get to that reason a little bit quicker. I want to tell you something that I learned that changed my life. I was reading a book one time that had a quote in there from Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction." If you think about that, that's a really, really true statement. Because everything you see in this world came from somebody's imagination. Everything. Somebody was talking on the phone one day, on that wall phone, connected to the cord, and tried to walk, and it didn't go no further. and he wanted to just go outside and get something out the car. He said, somebody said, you know what? I wish I could take this phone outside. Everybody in here got a cell phone. It was in somebody's imagination. Somebody imagined that. Somebody imagined everything. Somebody got tired of walking. Somebody got tired of driving cars. Somebody said, we're going to fly. You're not finna fly. Everybody in here have been on a plane. See, your imagination is the evidence of things not seen. You know why they call it the evidence of things not seen? Your imagination, you're the only one can see it. You're the only one can see it. See, so all this stuff you've been imagining was not some hocus pocus. When you imagine stuff, it's actually God showing you a preview of a coming attraction he has for you. That's what your imagination is. Why do you keep imagining yourself with a second home? Because God wants you to have a second home. Why do you keep imagining yourself in a supervisory capacity on another job? Because God really wants you to have that. Why you keep dreaming of opening a business one day? That's because that's what God really got for you. And he put it in your imagination. The problem with your imagination, though, is you tell it to the wrong people. If you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. You can't, oh man. Think about this in your life. How many times have you had this really incredible idea and you took it to your family and your friends? You shared it with them and they shot it down. You know why they shot it down? Because they couldn't see it. Because God didn't put it in their imagination. He put it in yours. It was your evidence of things not seen. See, all this stuff you've been imagining, you ought to start working on it. Because that's what God really got for you. Your real life is in your imagination. I'm here to tell you that. You think I'm here by accident? I'm here because he put this in my imagination when I was 10. When I was 10, he showed me I was going to be on TV. That's all I ever wanted. The assignment when I was in the 6th grade was everybody write their name on a piece of paper and write what you want to be. You know what I wrote on my paper? I want to be on TV. Now, the problem I had, though, was I used to suffer with a serious stuttering problem. I couldn't talk outside my house. I stuttered for years. I flunked out of school. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. But at 10, though, I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV. So the teacher went around the room and read everybody's paper, had you stand up when she called your name, and the only assignment was your name and what you want to be. Doctor, lawyer, dentist, basketball player, football player. I wrote I want to be on TV. She saved me for last. She said, little Stevie, come to the front. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to the front because I got the best answer. Because ain't nobody had put that on their paper. She called me to the front. I'm thinking I'm finna give me a gold star, but I was wrong about that. She called me to the front to humiliate me. First of all, you know I can't talk. I suffered with stuttering stammer so bad, man. I couldn't talk at all. And that lady lit in on me. Why did you write this on your paper? Now I'm standing there, I can't talk. Who in this school ever been on TV? Who in your family ever been on TV? Who in this neighborhood ever been on TV? I'm crushing, man. I'm standing there dying. She said, look at you standing there. You can't even talk. How they gonna put somebody like you on TV? So every Christmas, I send her a flat screen TV. Because I don't want her to miss me. I do not want her to miss not an episode of me. Because I wanted her to see what God had done for me. The fact that you couldn't see it